Welcome to Nightmare Fuel Stories, the signal I've always been drawn to abandoned places. There's something about the quiet decay, the way nature slowly reclaims what humans have discarded. As a freelance photographer specializing in urban exploration, I've made a modest living documenting these forgotten spaces. But nothing in my 15 years of experience prepared me for what I found at the Blackridge Radio Tower. It started with a tip from Marcus, a fellow explorer who'd come across an old radio tower while hiking in the Appalachians. "This one's special, Ellie," he told me over the phone. "Built in the 50s, abandoned in 86. Military installation, supposedly, but here's the weird part, it's still broadcasting." I laughed. "That's impossible, no power after all these years." "I know how it sounds, but I heard it clear as day on my portable radio. Just static and some kind of code. Thought it might make for an interesting photo essay." 2 days later, I was driving up a narrow mountain road, my Jeep struggling against the steep incline. The GPS had lost signal an hour back, and I was navigating using Marcus's hand-drawn map. The October air bit through my open window, carrying the scent of pine and wet earth. The tower appeared suddenly as I rounded a bend. It rose from a small clearing, a skeletal finger pointing accusingly at the sky. Even from a distance, I could tell it was in surprisingly good condition for something abandoned for over 30 years. No visible rust, no collapsed sections. Just a tall metal structure standing sentinel over the wilderness. I parked at the edge of the clearing and grabbed my equipment: camera, tripod, flashlight, and a small portable radio I'd brought on a whim after Marcus's strange claim. The chain-link fence surrounding the facility had long since been cut open, and I slipped through easily. The main building at the base of the tower was a squat concrete structure, its windows boarded up, its walls covered in graffiti, most of it old and faded. Standard fare for abandoned places. I took a few exterior shots, capturing the juxtaposition of the decaying building against the pristine tower. The front door hung partially open, its lock broken long ago. I stepped inside, flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. The interior was surprisingly clean, no beer cans or drug paraphernalia that typically litter such places, just dust and silence. The main room contained several desks with ancient equipment: rotary phones, typewriters, filing cabinets. A large map of the United States covered one wall, pins marking locations I couldn't immediately identify. Standard Cold War-era communication station, I thought. I set up my tripod and began taking long exposure shots, capturing the play of light and shadow across the abandoned equipment. As I worked, I switched on the portable radio, more out of curiosity than expectation. Static hissed from the speaker as I turned the dial through various frequencies, nothing unusual. I was about to switch it off when I hit 87.9 FM. The static cleared. A steady, rhythmic pattern emerged: 3 short bursts, 3 long, 3 short again. It repeated endlessly, perfectly timed. A chill ran down my spine despite myself. Marcus had been right. I moved the radio around the room, noting how the signal strengthened near a heavy metal door at the back. It appeared to lead to a basement level, secured by a padlock that, unlike the front door, was intact and surprisingly new-looking. My curiosity piqued. I examined the lock. It was a standard model, nothing special. I'd picked up lock-picking as a necessary skill in my line of work. Most urban exploration technically constitutes trespassing, after all. Within minutes, the lock clicked open. The door revealed a concrete staircase descending into darkness. The radio signal grew stronger as I started down, the pattern more distinct: 3 short, 3 long, 3 short, over and over. My flashlight beam seemed to weaken with each step, as though the darkness below was somehow thicker, more resistant. The basement was a single large room filled with radio equipment. Unlike the technology upstairs, these machines appeared modern, or at least not decades old. Banks of servers hummed softly. Lights blinked on various panels, and at the center of it all stood a single microphone on a desk, connected to what looked like a broadcasting setup. The radio in my hand was now crystal clear, the pattern unmistakable. It was Morse code, I realized. SOS, the international distress signal, broadcasting continuously. "Hello," I called out, my voice echoing in the concrete chamber. "Is anyone here?" No response, just the steady hum of equipment and the SOS signal from my radio. I approached the broadcasting setup, examining it closely. The equipment was dusty but operational, connected to a power source I couldn't immediately identify. No cables ran to the outside, no obvious generators, yet everything was running, had been running for who knows how long. On the desk beside the microphone lay a logbook, its pages yellowed with age. The last entry was dated October 17, 1986, exactly 33 years ago to the day. The handwriting was tight, precise. 300 hours, signal detected from Sector 7. Triangulation confirms origin point approximately 15,000 light-years from Earth. Pattern matches previous transmissions. Dr. Weiss believes we've established contact. Beginning response protocol as per directive. 315 hours, signal strength increasing. Unusual energy readings from equipment. 330 hours, something is coming through. God help us, something is. The entry ended abruptly, a long ink streak trailing off the page as though the writer had been interrupted violently. I set down the logbook with trembling hands, suddenly aware of how isolated I was. No cell service, no one knew exactly where I'd gone except Marcus, and he wasn't expecting to hear from me until tomorrow. The SOS signal continued its relentless pattern from my radio. 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. But as I stood there, I noticed something else beneath it, a faint voice barely audible beneath the static. I raised the volume, straining to hear. Help, trapped, they're coming back, please. The voice was thin, distant, like someone calling from the bottom of a well. I looked around the room, half expecting to find someone hiding in the shadows, but I was alone. Hello, I called again, louder this time. Where are you? How can I help? The voice continued as though it hadn't heard me. 33 years, signal is a trap, don't respond, they'll find you too. My heart hammered against my ribs. I backed toward the stairs, suddenly desperate to be out of this basement, away from this tower. But as I reached the bottom step, the heavy metal door at the top slammed shut with a deafening clang. I raced up the stairs, pulling frantically at the handle. Locked. I pounded on the metal, shouting for help, though I knew no one could hear me. Behind me, the voice from the radio grew louder, clearer. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I had to do it. I had to bring someone else. It's the only way I might go free. I spun around, radio clutched in my white-knuckled grip. Who are you? What is this place? My name is Dr. Daniel Weiss. I was the lead researcher at this facility in 1986. The voice paused, a burst of static interrupting. We were monitoring deep space signals, looking for signs of intelligent life. We found something, all right, but it wasn't what we expected. I sank down onto the steps, mind reeling. That's impossible. That entry was 33 years ago. Time works differently, where I am now, more static. The signal was a lure, a trap. When we responded, we opened a doorway. They came through, just shadows at first, then more substantial. They took the others quickly. I managed to hide, to send out the SOS, but they found me eventually. Who found you? What are you talking about? They exist in the spaces between spaces. They feed on consciousness, on awareness. They've been trapped in their dimension for millennia, searching for a way into ours. We gave them that way. The voice grew urgent. You need to destroy the broadcasting equipment. It's maintaining the connection. Break it and they can't come through again. I looked at the equipment, still humming, still blinking with activity. If I do that, what happens to you? Silence then. I died 33 years ago, Miss Chambers. My blood ran cold. I had never told him my name. How do you? They're in your head already. They've been there since you walked in. They know everything about you. Eleanor Chambers, age 38, parents deceased, no siblings. Lives alone in an apartment in Pittsburgh. Favorite color is green. First pet was a cat named Mittens. The voice grew colder with each detail, less human somehow. They know you're afraid of the dark, afraid of being forgotten. They know you came here looking for meaning in abandoned places because you feel abandoned yourself. I dropped the radio as though it had burned me. It clattered to the floor, but the voice continued, now filling the room from hidden speakers. They're coming for you now, Eleanor, just like they came for me, just like they came for the others. But first, they'll show you things, wonderful, terrible things. The lights on the equipment began to flicker. The humming grew louder, became a whine that set my teeth on edge. And in the far corner of the room, the shadows deepened, gathered, took shape. I scrambled up the stairs again, throwing my weight against the door, but it remained immovable. The temperature in the basement plummeted suddenly. I could see my breath clouding in front of my face. Please, I begged, not sure who I was addressing. Let me out, I won't tell anyone about this place. It's too late for that, the voice, Weiss's voice, replied. You responded to the signal, you came here, you're part of it now. The shadow in the corner had become more defined. It was roughly human-shaped, but wrong somehow, too tall, too thin, its proportions subtly distorted. It didn't move so much as it relocated, appearing closer without crossing the intervening space. I pressed myself against the door, heart threatening to burst from my chest. What do you want from me? The shadow tilted what might have been its head. When it spoke, its voice overlapped with Weiss's, creating a dissonant chorus. Everything. I closed my eyes, trying to steady my breathing, trying to think. If Weiss was telling the truth, the broadcasting equipment was maintaining whatever doorway these things were using. Destroy it, and maybe they couldn't come through. I opened my eyes and bolted down the stairs, charging past the shadow figure toward the central desk. I grabbed a chair and swung it with all my strength at the broadcasting setup. The impact sent equipment flying, sparks erupting from damaged circuits. I struck again and again, destroying everything I could reach. The shadow figure moved, actually moved this time, gliding toward me with impossible speed. I felt cold fingers close around my throat, lifting me off my feet. Not fingers, appendages, wrong in shape and number, freezing cold and burning hot simultaneously. That won't help, the voices said in unison. The doorway is open. The signal has been received. Dark spots danced in my vision as the pressure on my throat increased. With my last conscious thought, I fumbled in my pocket for my lighter, a habit from my smoking days that I'd never quite abandoned. My thumb struck the flint wheel and flame blossomed. The effect was immediate. The shadow figure recoiled, releasing me. I fell to the floor, gasping for air. The flame seemed to hurt it, or at least repel it. I scrambled backward, keeping the lighter extended in front of me. My mind raced. Fire, they feared fire. I looked around desperately for something more substantial to burn. My gaze fell on the logbook, paper it would burn. And the wooden desk it sat on. I lunged for the desk, holding my lighter to the corner of the logbook. The pages caught quickly, and I shoved the burning book against the desk, praying the old wood would ignite. It did. Flames licked up the side of the desk, spreading to the remains of the broadcasting equipment. The shadow figure retreated further, its form becoming less distinct. Both voices, screamed in rage and pain. The fire spread faster than I expected, consuming decades-old paper and wood with hungry intensity. Smoke filled the room, and alarm bells began to ring, some ancient fire suppression system coming to life after years of dormancy. To my shock, the heavy metal door at the top of the stairs swung open. I didn't question the miracle. I ran, taking the steps 2 at a time, bursting into the main room and then outside into the blessed daylight. I didn't stop running until I reached my Jeep. As I fumbled with the keys, I looked back at the tower. Smoke poured from the basement windows, but the structure itself seemed unchanged, the metal tower still reaching accusingly toward the sky. I should have driven away then. I should have left that place forever, reported the fire to authorities from a safe distance, tried to forget what I'd seen. But something made me pause, made me reach for the portable radio I'd left on the passenger seat before entering the facility. I switched it on, turning to 87.9 FM. Static at first, then clarity, but not the SOS pattern from before. A voice, my voice, speaking words I'd never said. This is Alina Chambers, broadcasting on emergency frequency 87.9. I'm trapped in the Blackridge radio tower basement. There's been a structural collapse. If anyone can hear this, please send help. Please respond, my voice repeated the message over and over. A lure, a trap, just as Weiss had described. I switched off the radio with trembling fingers and started the Jeep. As I pulled away, I checked the rearview mirror one last time. A figure stood at the edge of the clearing, a figure with my face, my clothes, my camera bag slung over its shoulder. It raised a hand in farewell, its smile too wide, its eyes too dark. I drove without stopping for 6 hours, the mountains giving way to foothills, then to the outskirts of civilization. My phone regained signal eventually, and I pulled over at a gas station to gather my thoughts. I should call someone, I thought, report what happened, but who would believe me? And what if they investigated and responded to that signal? As I sat there, a text message arrived from Marcus. Hey, did you check out that tower? Pretty wild about the broadcast, right? I started to type a warning, then deleted it. Instead, I wrote, change of plans. Couldn't find the place, bad directions. His response came quickly, weird, I was sure. Well, maybe I'll check it out myself this weekend. No, I typed frantically. I mean, I heard from another source it's been demolished. Nothing to see there now. Oh, bummer, thanks for saving me the trip. I put down the phone and closed my eyes, trying to steady my breathing. What had I experienced? Mass hallucination. Some kind of gas leak in that basement causing delusions, or something truly beyond human understanding. I wanted to believe the rational explanations, but deep down I knew what I'd seen, what I'd heard, what had almost taken me. That night in a motel room, I dreamed of the tower. In my dream, I stood outside looking up at it, but now it wasn't a radio tower at all. It was something organic, something alive, a massive antenna of bone and sinew reaching toward the stars. And from its peak, signals pulsed outward in rhythmic waves, calling to something in the vast darkness between stars. I woke gasping, drenched in sweat. The digital clock on the nightstand read 3:33 a.m. The television I'd left on for comfort had devolved to static, and in that static, patterns emerged, 3 short bursts, 3 long, 3 short again. I lunged for the remote, jabbing at the power button. The screen went dark, but I could still hear it, faint but unmistakable. The sound wasn't coming from the TV at all, but from my own phone. With shaking hands, I checked the device. No calls, no active apps. Yet from its speaker came that familiar pattern, that horrible SOS that was never a call for help, but always a lure. I've been running ever since. It's been 3 weeks now. I don't use my phone anymore. I bought a disposable one for emergencies. I avoid radios, televisions, anything that might receive a signal. I stay in crowded places, sleep with the lights on, but I know they're still coming. Sometimes I catch glimpses of them from the corner of my eye, tall, thin figures that vanish when I turn to look. Sometimes I hear whispers beneath the ambient noise of a crowded coffee shop or busy street, my own voice calling for help, trying to lure others in. And sometimes, in the moment between wakefulness and sleep, I feel cold fingers on my throat and hear Dr. Weiss's voice, or what used to be Dr. Weiss, whispering, "They're patient, Alina. They've waited millennia. They can wait a little longer for you. I'm writing this all down now because I need someone to know what happened, what's still happening. The Blackridge Tower is still standing. The signal is still broadcasting. And whatever came through that doorway in 1986 is still here, still hungry, still looking for more awareness to consume. If you're reading this and you hear a strange SOS pattern on an unused frequency, turn it off. If someone calls for help from an abandoned place, don't answer. And if you ever find yourself near an old radio tower in the Appalachians, keep driving, because the signal isn't a call for help, it's calling for you.